Hi guys, welcome to Simply Scuba. So in today's comparison video, we're looking at dSMBs or delayed surface marker buoys. So these are a little bit different compared to just SMBs that stay on the surface for the entire dive. Delayed surface marker buoys, you take down them when they're deflated and then you inflate them underwater so they shoot up to the surface. So today with me, I've got the Xdeep 140 centimeter delayed surface marker buoy and the Ap Valves or the Buddy SMBCi. So these are similar size, but they do have very different features. The SMBCi is a bit more sort of old school, whereas the Xdeep is a bit more sort of modern take. This is the way that more sort of modern delayed surface marker buoys are going, but is it worth considering the older styles? So let's take a closer look. Okay, so first off, let's look at the general sort of look and feel of them and sort of compare and contrast. So here they are sort of rolled up as small as I could really make them. Now, obviously the SMBCi comes with that compact little buddy bottle, that little cylinder. So it's much, much bigger than the Xdeep, which, yeah, realistically for most of your dive, you're gonna have all of that in a pocket or sort of hanging off a D-ring, so really big and clunky, and it weighs a lot as well. So if you're a traveling diver, one, you've got all this additional weight of that cylinder. Just the cylinder alone without the valve, that weighs about 0.2 kilos. So all in, that does sort of add up to a lot of weight. Flying with it as well, aeroplanes and sort of customs, they don't like compressed gas cylinders, so you'd have to take that valve out. So yeah, I'd be steering away from this for that reason. Bit more compact, the Xdeep, so it rolls down nice and small. It's still about as wide. It's a little bit skinnier because the Ap valves kind of flares out down at the bottom. You've got little attachments, sort of loop on that little strop, so that's handy, so you can easily attach a line onto that. You do have the same, but this is huge on the Ap valves. I don't know why it has to be quite so big. In the water, that just kind of gets in the way, in my opinion. And if you are just attaching it to a bolt snap or something, yeah, that's hanging really, really far away. So not a huge fan of that. Wrapping them up, Xdeep has a small little bungee. These are really handy, just keeps it nice and neat and tidy. And then when you need to deploy it, you can just undo it. With the Ap valves, you've got a bit of Velcro, so a little bit more secure. It's quite nice because you can wrap it up exactly how tight you want it, and it's not going to wear out nearly as fast as the bungee. The bungee, after a few years, that will start to sort of wilt and sort of wear down, whereas the Velcro does sort of stay. So we are sort of winning on that point. And then unrolling them, so they're both about the same length, 140 centimeters. Obviously they do come in different colors. I've just chosen the orange on this one, and then the black and the yellow on the Ap valves. This is where it really kind of changes, because on the Ap valves you've got this little cylinder, and this is how you're going to inflate the dSMB. There is one other way. But this, you basically have to fill up from your primary cylinder at the beginning of the dive, and then you connect it onto it. When you want to deploy your dSMB, you just crack that valve open. That empties into the dSMB and away it goes. So they say it's much more sort of hands-free. Instead of having to sort out hoses or sort of exhaling into it or doing anything, all you have to do is just set it up, hold onto the spool or the reel, and then just crack that valve and away it goes. Which, yeah, it's fine. I'm kind of okay with it, but for all this additional hardware, I think it's a little bit excessive personally. Setting it up as well, yeah, you have to make sure that that seal's done up correctly. And of course, these cylinders, these never have to be tested because they're under the half-litre sort of volume range. So you never actually have to have these hydrostatically tested or anything. And considering that it's emptying every single time that you deploy your dSMB, I'd be a little bit worried about any sort of water ingress in that. Velcro it down, yeah, just holds it in position, but it's a big sort of clunky sort of thing, which is a bit of a downer on me. Overpressure valve, because both of these are sort of sealing, or the AP valves is self-sealing. You can probably see it on the other side. There's a little bit of fluting on this side. So when it's fully inflated and sort of when it ascends, you've got the expanding gases. It's gonna block this section so it closes it. That way the air can't just rush out. That's also another way of inflating the dSMB. If you open up the undersides, you can get an octo in there or the exhaust valve from your primary and sort of fill that up. Considering it does widen itself, it's still not a huge hole to get a sort of octo mouthpiece into, so you are going to lose a little bit of gas, but that is a second way that you can inflate the AP valves. Whereas on the Xdeep, so this is a closed cell. You don't have that opening or the fluting. It's just a sealed plastic bag. The only way to inflate it is through this little nozzle. So you can either already inflate it by sort of pushing down on this. It's sort of spring loaded. Push down on it and blow into it, which is how I like to inflate dSMBs, because then your buoyancy doesn't really change. You're changing your lung volume and you're putting it into here, so your buoyancy doesn't change. Or you can use a low pressure inflator hose, same as your BCD or your dry suit, just the standard sort of international DIN fitting on a quick disconnect. Retract that little hose and then just sort of push it on, and that inflates it really quick. That is quite efficient. You can disconnect your BCD hose and then fill that up and then reconnect it, or you can have a completely separate line depending on sort of what you want. But when this sort of inflates, it doesn't have to self-seal, it is sealed, and any expanding gas, if it expands too much, you also have that overpressure valve, exactly the same as you do on the AP valves. As far as kind of tactile looks and feel to it, the overpressure valve, you've got a little sort of nubbin on the end of the Xdeep, whereas you just have a piece of string on the end of the AP valves. Aesthetically, I kind of prefer the Xdeep. That's more looks. It's a little bit more high profile compared to the AP valves. This one, it just has kind of sharp edges to it, whereas this one's nice and smooth, but it's a little bit lower profile, but that's not really a huge selling point. Moving down the dSMBs, these are all sort of heat sealed and stitched down each side, and then moving down towards the top end, this is where they start to differ again. So on the AP valves, you just have the AP logo at the top, and a small little grommet at the top, so you can attach sort of something onto that. You can tie whatever you want, but it's just a round top and that's it. This one in particular is black and yellow, so as it turns it can kind of flash, it kind of draws the eyes, but of course they come in different colors. At the top of the Xdeep, we have some Solus reflective tape. So this is really handy. Basically, the whole point of a dSMB or an SMB is to make sure that you're seen and found in the water. So a bit of reflective tape just means that search and recovery are going to be able to spot you from a long distance away, and even sort of a cursory search with like a light is just going to reflect that, so it's a little bit more obvious. You have this clear little pouch at the top as well. So this is a more sort of modern thing we're seeing more and more in dSMBs. If you dive with a notebook, you can write notes and sort of tuck it inside there, or you can put a glow stick or whatever you want inside of that and then send that up to the surface. And then we have an attachment loop, so you can tie things off onto that or tie two things, whatever you want on that. So slightly different at the top. Again, I'm giving the edge to the Xdeep. It's a bit more modern. It's got a few more features that really sort of help you get seen in the water. Other than that, the materials feel much the same. The AP valves is a little bit softer, but yeah, it is very much the same materials, same size, so you'll be sort of inflating it the same amount, and you'll be sort of seeing the same depending on sort of where you're diving. So as far as overall kind of looks and feels to it, I'm leaning towards the modern twist with the Xdeep. Yeah, that big sort of cylinder, it's not a big selling point for me. I prefer this more sort of sleek, low profile, just an inflator, and away you go. Okay, so now we're drumming it down to the specs. Now, obviously, there's not a great deal that we can sort of compare. They're both about the same length, they're about the same size. The weight, definitely much heavier on the Ap Valves. The Xdeep, this is only going to weigh a few grams, whereas this one's sort of getting closer to the sort of kilograms. And then other than that, it's really down to the price. So the recommended retail price on the SMBCi is £144. So very expensive, but you're paying for that cylinder and the valve and all that kind of stuff. The Xdeep, £44.95. So you can pretty much buy 3 of these for every 1 of these. Again, big selling points, steering me towards the more modern, the sort of Xdeep closed cell. The only benefit of that sort of SMBCi is your cylinder, so it's a bit more hands-free. You don't need extra hoses, or you don't have to disconnect and then reconnect and do sort of fiddly stuff. You just kind of crack a valve and away it goes. So as far as specs, honestly, I'm still leaning towards the more modern twist. It's lighter, it's smaller, it's a darn sight cheaper as well. I'm going towards the Xdeep on this one. Okay, to summarize, it's always been a little bit one-sided on this. I'm obviously giving it towards the Xdeep. Yes, modern twists on sort of dSMBs is really the way that the world is going. I'm not a big fan of sort of open-ended dSMBs, because yeah, you can sort of deflate, but bringing all of these kind of sort of Velcro and loops and all that kind of stuff, bring that close to your regulator. As soon as that shoots off, if it wraps around something, 1, it's going to yank it out of your mouth. 2, it might yank you up to the surface. It's just, no, I never like it a little bit too close. Big heavy cylinder. Most divers are traveling nowadays. If you're a traveling diver, this definitely adds a lot to the weight and the logistics of sort of trying to get that through customs. If you're diving at home and you want something a bit more hands-free, if you're diving with big clunky gloves, then yes, this can be a definite sort of benefit, because all you have to do is just turn a valve. You don't have to line up hoses or anything. But still, yeah, even in the UK, I'm still going to be diving with something like this, because you can orally inflate it, take that second stage out of your mouth, orally inflate it, and send it up to the surface. You've got a smaller loop as well, a bit more manageable, and it's got everything that you need in a dSMB, and it's sealed as well, so even if it's not fully inflated at the surface, even if it flops over, it's not going to deflate. And then when you get to the surface, you can top it up. So in this one, I'm leaning towards the Xdeep, obviously. But of course, let us know in the comments below what dSMB you use and why. What features do you look for? Do you prefer something that is open-ended with kind of a flute, so that you can orally inflate it by sort of exhaling into it? Or do you just use the sort of the modern little sort of nozzle there that you can inflate with a hose? Do you use a hose, or do you already inflate through that nozzle? That's also sort of up and coming topics in scuba diving, whether you sort of exhale into it or whether you use a little hose to inflate it. And do you ever use any of these kind of features at the top? And you've got that little pocket. Do you ever write notes to the surface to send them messages? Let us know in the comments below. And of course, what do you write on your dSMB? Do you write your name along the top so that people can recognize it? Let us know. Thanks for watching, and safe diving.
We are an online dive store serving the UK and the world for all your diving equipment needs. So why not visit us at simplyscuba.com or click the box on your screen.